Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the vampire counts. Red Duke going to be taking on the Wood Elves, led by Durthu. So let's get straight to the builds here. My front line is going to be all chaff, just zombies in the front line, and then a second line of skeleton spears. We also do have a solo Graveguard kind of protecting this corpse cart here. Over on the side, we've got a group of Blood Knights. On the other side, another group of Blood Knights. And in the center, we've got this kind of mobile force here with the Chill Guys and the Dire Pack. So the idea with the Chill Guys is that they're here to counter Sisters of Thorn specifically. They've got this chilling aura, and they're also very fast, so they can catch up to Sisters of Thorn. They can apply that chilling aura to slow them down, and then obviously they have the magic attacks to cut through the Sisters of Thorn's physical resistance. So they're very, very good in that specific situation. That being said, the ethereal units in general are pretty risky against the Wood Elves because they have a lot of magic damage options. The Dire Pack here just to kind of provide some anti-large support, but for my opponent's build, he's got a Waystalker here, one group, Sisters of Thorn. He's got Durthu and an Ancient Tree Man, 3 Dryads, and some Eternal Guards with shields, 2 Sword Dancers, Branch Wraith, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get the battle underway. And yeah, I definitely like the pick of Durthu and the Ancient Tree Man here. The Dryads can potentially be pretty good here, but again, all of these Dryads, Durthu and the Ancient Tree Man, all have magic attacks, as well as the Branch Wraith. The Waystalker also has magic missiles, as does the Glady, I believe. I believe she does as well. And then, let's see, out of their archer units, a lot of them used to have magic attacks, but I think the only one that still does, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, are the Deepwood Scouts with the Swift Shiver Shards, which are not really that good of a unit to begin with, so you probably are not going to ever bring them anyway. But in general, the tree units are pretty good against the vampires, so the idea here with the Chill Guys is we've got to keep away from the trees and just go after mobile units, try and snipe units out in the periphery, or if push comes to shove, you know, we can charge in on the tree units. We just don't want to sit on top of them for too long because they will beat the crap out of these poor ghosties here. And yeah, we're just kind of pushing all up and around. My opponent is Wicked from Heir of Carthage's Discord server. I just popped in there randomly one day to see what the lads hanging out in there were up to. Lads and lasses, I should say. And yeah, everybody was hanging out, playing battles. Some of them wanted to practice and play some battles with me, so yeah, we're going to do it here. And Wicked did say he's not the most experienced player. He's only been playing Total War Warhammer for a couple of months, so he was looking for tips, which is one of the reasons why I'm casting this game. And the other reason is it's definitely a lot of fun. Get to see some units you don't get to see too often, and yeah, it's just generally a pretty interesting matchup, so we can kind of talk about some different things. But Sisters of Thorn doing exactly what they should. Wicked doing a great job just sticking close to this defensive formation. If you were to go out and try and skirmish, which is one of the main roles of Sisters of Thorn, is to kind of control enemy heavy cavalry. At least that's what I use them for. If you were to go out and try and do that, especially on this flank, he'd get caught out by these mobile units here, and the Chill Guys would just take him down. So very smart play here just to kind of keep them within this defensive formation. Maybe worth running them out and trying to maybe slow down these Blood Knights here and do a little bit of damage to them. The idea is with the poison attacks, and then you also have the Curse of Onrare, you can debuff your opponent's speed and melee attack significantly, so you know, you skirmish them out a little bit, especially heavy cavalry can't catch you anyway, but the poison just makes extra sure they can't catch you, and then you do some skirmishing, and then once they're weakened, you pop that Curse of Onrare, skirmish a little bit more, and then go ahead and countercharge. And assuming you're not facing magic cav, like these spooky ghosts here, the Sisters of Thorn will do just fine. You can see in the main line here, I'm not really charging so much as just moving my zombies up to kind of stand here in a line, because zombies obviously don't have much of a charge bonus. I'm not really prioritizing my micro there very much. Red Duke did come down and try and snipe out the Waystalker here, but unfortunately, you know, he pulled back to the formation enough. Durthu came over, slapped the Red Duke around a little bit, but you can see the Chill Guys are able to kind of shoot this gap here. The 2 Blood Knights come in and just sandwich this unit of Eternal Guard, And yeah, it's going to be rough stuff for the Sisters of Thorn in the back line here. Meanwhile, on the front line, the War Dancers come in and commit to start to cut through the chaff. I commit the Grave Guard as well, just to make sure we've got a solid kind of central presence here, as the War Dancers probably will cut through quite a bit. Looks like an Amber Spear did connect there, but oh man, the Wind of Death coming down and just wrecking the entire Wood Elf front line. Dryads and War Dancers just getting obliterated there by an overcast Wind of Death. So you can see the entire front line for the Wood Elves just routing away, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of engaged in that very kind of static front line there, is so that I could try and set up that Wind of Death opportunity. Meanwhile, in the back line, you can see the Chill Guys aren't necessarily doing great. They're doing all right. We were able to pretty much finish off the Sisters of Thorn, I believe. I don't think they... I'm not sure where they got off to, but anyway, you can see that has tipped the balance of power in my favor. Of course, Durthu is still going to be very tough to take down. In fact, he's got an Ancient Tree Man, and the Branch Wraith also will be very tanky and pretty hard to take down. You can see they are crumbling away a lot of the vampire units in the front line. You know, zombies and skeletons obviously aren't going to hold their leadership together, and even the Grave Guard suffering pretty badly here in their crumbling. So it may come down to just mobile units here fighting against the trees here, which, I mean, obviously the Blood Knights have anti-large. Regular Hex Wraiths have flaming attacks, I believe. I'll double check. I'm pretty sure they have flaming attacks, but the Chill Guys actually do not, because they, you know, they're supposed to be like the cold Hex Wraiths. So unfortunately they don't get a bonus damage, but again, you really don't want to be fighting trees with ethereal units anyway, because the trees will hit back with magic attacks, so it's really not worth the extra fire damage from regular Hex Wraiths. You can see I'm just kind of hanging around with the Chill Guys, not really wanting to commit them to this tree Death Star here, as they will just pretty much get run down. Wicked's trying to rally his Eternal Guard and the rest of his infantry to help support Durthu, but I'm using my mobile units to just snipe them out and, you know, run them off the battlefield while the infantry continues to grind. I mean, these guys are going to do basically 0 damage to Durthu and the Ancient Tree, or sorry, the regular Tree Man, but as long as they can at least just stand here for a while until the Blood Knights have finished off everything else, and then we'll kind of start cycle charging a little bit. Red Duke, I mean, I could bring him down into combat, but he's already taken quite a bit of damage. I've been pretty aggressive with him already, so I'm just kind of leaving him chilling around. I probably should fly him over by the Corpse Cart, honestly, to get a bit of extra healing there, but the Waystalker is going to get free here and continue to poke away, so seeing that we definitely need to shut him down. Oh, looks like the Sisters of Thorn came back as well, so we're going to be dispatching the Hound Squad and the Chill Guys to deal with them. You can see they're skirmishing back as they should, just kind of chilling back with the Death Knights, yeah. Blood Knights and the zombies and stuff, just keeping a bit of a reserve here because I don't want to have all my infantry crumble away immediately. You can see I have forgotten about a few other units over here on the side as well, so plenty of chaff units still for Durthu and the others to have to cut through potentially, and the Blood Knights just kind of cleaning up the other units on the periphery. A little bit of a mistake here on my part, though, not taking down this Waystalker. He is poking away at the Red Duke, and if the Red Duke goes down, you know, Durthu and the other Tree Man could potentially stabilize here. The Branch Wraith is also still alive to provide healing for them, so you can see the balance of power is actually pretty back to even, and I dived in here with the Elsif on the Durthu. Unfortunately, just took a bunch of damage. We were able to do some damage in return, but again, that Waystalker just poking away consistently. So finally, I'm going to use the Hex Wraiths and the Hounds to take them down. They had just finished off that group of Sisters of Thorn over there. You can see objective fulfilled, and so now they're going to come in and eat this Waystalker here, who has been able to kind of squeak by this whole time, but is going to get terrified away there. The Red Duke comes down to finish off these Dryads, and meanwhile the grind is on in the center. So at this point we're going to fast forward a little bit, as it's pretty much just Durthu, the Tree Man, and the Dryad just grinding against skeletons. I am cycle charging a little bit with the Blood Knights and the at this point, since these guys are the only ones left, you know, I go ahead and bring in the Chill Guys. Their armor piercing could potentially be useful here, so go ahead and rout Durthu, and with that the other Tree Man is going to rout as well. So well played to Wicked. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. It was a pretty fun battle, and yeah, honestly, that Wind of Death definitely carried the day. Without that, it would have been really hard to grind through all that Wood Elf infantry, just because Eternal Guards have good enough stats that they'll hold zombies and skeletons pretty much all day. They will take a little bit of damage, but especially with a Corpse Cart buffing up the stats of the zombies and the skeletons and regenerating them and everything. But Still, it would have been pretty tough without that Wind of Death, but you can see 195 kills on the Red Duke from that. 117 on these Blood Knights as well. They were able to clean up a lot of kills. That's another good way of dealing with the Wood Elves' light infantry is shock damage, so heavy cavalry definitely good against the Wood Elves, and of course the Vampire Counts have some of the best heavy cavalry in the game, not only because they are simply amazing, and make no question, Blood Knights are pound for pound, even without the healing, still one of the best cav units in the game. But with the healing, especially the fact that they can heal unit models, which no other elite cavalry in the game can do, just really sets them apart. And particularly in this matchup, which can potentially be pretty rough for the Vampire Counts, I do like them quite a bit. The Chill Guys, again, bit of a risk-reward type pick here, but they were able to do their job in holding off the Sisters of Thorn and basically making them completely ineffective. Yeah, the Dire Pack also helped out in that respect as well, and the infantry just did their duty and died in droves. For Wicked's forces here, obviously, Durthu, super solid pick here. I really like him against the Vampire Counts. He's super tanky, and even against the Red Duke, who's probably their #1 goon option, he can stand firm, and, you know, especially with the Sword of Daith and everything, just stand firm, heal up, and just smack him right back in the teeth. So, really like that pick. In terms of the rest of the army, I think to improve this, and me and Wicked talked about this after the match itself a little bit, but just to kind of go through a few things here. So I like the core of the army. I would go ahead and fine-tune a few things here, though. So if we switch over to, what the heck, we'll do Argulon since we're doing Durthu. Let's just have some fun here. So Durthu, I would go ahead and keep all of these abilities. I might cut Foe Seeker just because Durthu's going to be kind of static anyway. I mean, the Vigor Refresh is definitely nice, but with a faction like the Wood Elves where you're going to be trying to cut costs everywhere you can, I'd recommend cutting that. In terms of Durthu's spells, Flock of Doom is going to be the only one I would recommend. It is worth spamming that, though, with Wild Heart. Well, I wouldn't say spamming. You want to use it conservatively because you're going to be healing as well. So you'll need Winds of Magic for that, but you can use it sparingly, especially if you're standing in the woods getting this Blessing of the Ancients. In addition to the Wild Heart proc, can give you some really strong Winds of Magic recharge, makes Durthu a very strong caster, actually. Gives him lots of Winds of Magic. So Sword of Daith I would definitely recommend, though, especially if you're going to be fighting against, like, you know, Blood Knights, Red Duke, that -30 armor, as well as the AoE damage. The AoE damage is just devastating against Vampire Counts blobs, and the -30 armor is also quite nice as well. Branch Wraith, definitely a good option. I would go ahead and cut Foe Seeker again because you're going to be kind of static with your tree line, and maybe just bring healing. If you want, you can potentially bring the Penumbral Pendulum, but Smoke and Mirrors is another one. You may want to think about keeping that lore attribute or cutting it depending on what you're trying to do. Again, since you're going to be kind of static, it may not be worth bringing, but if you're trying to use a couple mobile units, it may be worth having. But I'm going to go ahead and cut it for the sake of today, and just have the healing, the melee buff, and the Blessing of the Ancients, of course. And then for the front line, rather than taking the Dryads, who are pretty good against Vampire Counts chaff, I'm going to go a little bit different route. So first things first, these two units are essential, the Wardens of Kithral and the Loex Tricksters. These two elite spears just have such good combat stats that pretty much the only way for the Vampire Counts to deal with them is through shock damage or through magic. So as long as you're keeping them tight in your formation, they'll do very, very good. And especially the Wardens of Kithral, if you're standing them on top of a Tree Man, for example, because they have the Armor Sundering, the non-AP attacks of the Tree Man will be more effective. So definitely recommend bringing both of those. The Loex Tricksters as well, just super, super fast. I mean, they have already 46 speed. You can give them the Loex Shroud to make them even faster. Stack that with some other buffs or speed debuffs, and you can really make them chase down, you know, heavy cavalry, other units. You could slow down the Red Duke. You know, there's lots you can do with them. So very, very good. In the front line, Eternal Guards, pretty decent. Just for cost's sake, we're going to go ahead and cut down on the shields, although I would say the Winterheart Guards are pretty essential as well. Again, really good combat stats. They have expert charge defense, and they're unbreakable, which is always a plus against the spooky vampires. At this point, we're also going to grab the Firebark Elders. So they have really good melee defense. They've got flaming attacks, so they're going to be good against regenerating Vampire Counts units, of which they have quite a few. Stearnsmen, particularly if, like, let's say you're fighting in the front line, Stearnsmen, again, have regeneration, so going to be very good there, and they're a pretty common pick in this matchup. Corpse Cards, Terror Guys, you know, the Vampire Counts have no end of units that are weak to fire, So that in and of itself is pretty good. The Wildfire Aura doesn't really do a whole lot for you. Again, the Vampire counts do have the regular Hex Wraiths that have flaming attacks. That's their only unit with flaming attacks on the roster, actually. Well, no, maybe the Black Coach? Oh, no, the Black Coach doesn't either. So, yeah, only unit on the roster with flaming attacks, but you're probably not going to see them anyway. And if you do, you'll probably see the Chill Guys, who do not have flaming attacks. But anyway, going back over to the Wood Elves here, with the remaining funds, I'm going to grab one more Tree Man. And at this point, may want to try and squeeze out a few more points to see if we can afford at least the one Sister of Thorn to give us a solo mobile option here. We'd have to find a pretty substantial amount of points, though. So maybe we cut this Lamentation of Despair, and ooh, maybe we cut. It's tough to know sometimes, but yeah, Durthu doesn't have that melee attack buff, so we want to keep that. But maybe we cut the Blessing of the Ancients, because actually this might stack between the two characters, so it might actually be worth taking. But if we cut that, then we can just barely afford a unit of Sisters of Thorn, and that's going to squeeze us into a pretty nice build. Gives us you know, a nice tree Death Star. The tree can help stop up cavalry charges, and they also are very resilient against all Vampire counts infantry. They really just kind of wet noodle against these guys with their high melee defense, their high armor, their physical resistance. They're even resistant to most types of spells that the Vampire counts can bring, like Wind of Death won't do much. Spirit Leech will do a little bit, but it's not really efficient. Fate of Una won't do much either, so they're very resilient against the Vampire counts. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.